Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, or Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, or commonly referred to as Nero, was the fifth Roman emperor. In this video, I will be going over every Nero Aureus with auction sales data. There are 38 unique coins that I have found sales data for Nero, 3 of which are denarius versions of Aurei, and 1 of which is based off of a Calico catalog coin, not an RIC. Starting off with our most common Nero Aureus is RIC 52 with 22.4% of all sales data. RIC 52 had a range of sales of 0 to 199.9 times the price of gold. The high was sold on Numismatic Ars Classica on March 5th, 2009. It was auction 51, lot 196, and sold for 42,500 Swiss francs. The low was sold by Bertolami on April 25th, 2020. It was auction 80, lot 759, and sold for 3 Great British pounds. There seems to be nothing wrong with this coin, so I have no idea how it sold for so little, unless, of course, the data is just wrong. There does seem to be an overall downward trend in the valuation of this coin, with a local high of 2014 at 18.36, and going all the way down to 9.8 in 2024. That's not the low, but it is close to the low. Being the most common coin, there are 52 different auctioneers that have sold this coin. So we have a whole bunch of data compared to all the auctioneers. At the high end, we have Noble Numismatic at 54.4 times the price of gold, followed by Monaco at 50.5, and Numismatic Ars Classica at 39 times the price of gold. And all the way down at the bottom, we have Varese at 2.5, Gene Ellison at 3.5, Agora at 3.7, and Spink at 4.1. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin for this, you're likely looking at $1,500 to $3,500 US, with the high end ranging you, I would say, $35,000, potentially all the way up to $105,000 US. Our next coin is RIC 59 with 11.6% of all sales. RIC 59 had a range of sales from 2.3 all the way to 67.3 times the price of gold. The high was sold on October 26, 2005 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auctioned 31, lot 29, and sold for 8,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on September 13th, 2019 by Triskiles. Probably said that one wrong. It was auction 29, lot 172, and sold for 610 US. I will say for this one, there does seem to be yet again a downward trend overall. We have our local high here in 2019, and from that point on, we have everything much further down, 2023 being our low at 5.27 times the price of gold. And basically since 2013, 2015, it's been roughly overall down. If we're looking at it by auctioneers, the highest average auctioneer was Numismatic Ars Classica at 32.9, followed by Numismatic at 32.16, Bertolami at 22.3, and Stack Bowers at 21.7. At the bottom end, we have Goldberg at 3.5, Inumis at 3.6, Gene Ellison at 3.8, Nomos at 4.1, and Fisher at 4.4. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin, you're likely again going to be ranging in the 1,500 to 3,500 US dollars, with the high end ranging probably about 20,000 to 40,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC 46 with 7.6% of all sales. So we'll pull up RIC 46 right here. So the sales ranged on this coin from 2.6 to 156 times the price of gold. The high sale was on May 17th, 2001 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 21, lot 388, and sold for 14,500 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale that year. The low sale was on February 26, 2020 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 462, lot 339, and sold for 800 US dollars. If we look at it broken out by year and past 2012, particularly past 2017, you could say there's probably overall a little bit of a downward trend. But it also is fairly flat since 2012. Bear in mind, most of the auction data comes from 2012 and after. Prior to that, we just have a couple auctioneers. So whenever I'm looking at the year-over-year trends, I'm typically looking from 2012 to 2024 as those years, I think, have a little bit more accurate representation of the actual data. So looking at the average auctioneer values, we have Numismatic Ars Classica at 55.4 times the price of gold, Hirsch at 50.8, Goldberg at 34.1, and Bertolami at 29.8. At the bottom end, we have Agora at 3.8, Grun at 4.4, Anasta at 4.9, and Stephen Album at 5.5. If you're looking at a low-end coin to buy for this, it's probably going to range in the 2,000 to 4,500 US dollars, with a high-end coin probably going to be around 35,000 to 105,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC 63 with 7.5% of all sales. So we'll go ahead and pull up RIC 63 here. So RIC 63 had a range of sales of 3 all the way to 176.2 times the price of gold. The high was sold on October 14th, 2013 by Gorny and Mosh. It was auction 215, lot 106, and sold for 32,000 euros. The low sale was on April 7th, 2024 by Astarte. It was auction 4, lot 209, and sold for 1,000 Swiss francs. At least from 2014 on, there really does not seem to be a overall trend here. Basically, we're relatively flat with it bouncing, maybe from 10 to 20 times the price of gold throughout all those years. We break it out by auctioneer. We'll see Numismatic Ars Classica as the highest average, yet again, at 53.9 times the price of gold, followed by Gorny and Mosh at 30.4, Spink at 31.4, and Heritage at 28.6. At the bottom end, we have Astarte at 2.99 rather, followed by Savoca at 4.6, Tyler at 4.7, and Gene Ellison at 5.7. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin, you're likely looking at 3,000 to 6,000 US dollars, with a high-end ranging I'm going to say 55,000 to 110,000 US dollars. Next coin is RIC 66 with 5.2% of all sales. Let's go ahead and pull this one up. RIC 66 had a range of sales from 2.7 all the way up to 80.3 times the price of gold. The high sale was on June 25th, 2003 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was also the only sale that year. It was auction 25, lot 394, and sold for 7,200 Swiss francs. The low sale was on December 7th, 2019 by Leo Numismatic. It was auction 10, lot 1073, and sold for 750 Swiss francs. There does seem to be an overall downward trend in values, I would say, since 2014 and onward. Obviously, you can see 2016 had a little bit more of an up year, but since then, just been down and down, with our low being all the way in our current, previous year, 2024. Break it out by auctioneer. You see our highest average auctioneer, yet again, is Numismatic Ars Classica at 45.1, followed by Nomos at 35.6, Jesus Vico at 35.4, Gemini at 30.8, and at the bottom end we have Triskelies at 3.8, Cats at 5.2, Ibercoin at 5.5, and Aurei and Calico at 5.9. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin of RIC 66, it's probably going to range you in the 3,000 to 7,500 US dollars, with a high-end ranging you 30,000 to 60,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC 50 with 4.5% of all sales. RIC 50 had a range of sales from 4.9 to 273.4 times the price of gold. The high sale was on May 18th, 1999 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 15, lot 311, and sold for 22,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on September 19th, 2019 by Aurei and Calico. It was auction 335, lot 69, and sold for 1,250 euro. This one, I will say, doesn't seem to really be an obvious trend here. You could break it out by, anything after 2012, but it really seems to bounce around, very similar to the previous one, 10 to 20 times the price of gold year over year. Looking at it by auctioneer, our highest average auctioneer is Numismatic Ars Classica at 107.4, followed by Heritage at 34.99, C&G, Classical Numismatic Group, at 19.2, and then at the low end we have Aurei and Calico at 5.96, Triskelies at 6.27, and Pegasi at 7.07. If you're looking to buy a low end of this coin, you're likely going to be around 3,500 to 7,000 US dollars, with the high end ranging you probably around 75,000 to 175,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC 48 with 4.3% of all sales. RIC 48 had a range of sales from 0 all the way up to 113.5 times the price of gold. The high sale was on May 20th, 2015 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 84, lot 925, and sold for 25,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on December 16th, 2019 by Thaler and Fow. It was auction 48, lot 1,161, and sold for 11 euros, allegedly. For this one, once again, I'm going to say there's no obvious trend here that I'm discerning. You could argue, since the two highest peaks are in 2013 and 15, that we've been on a bit of a downward trend since then. Breaking it out by auctioneer, we see that our highest average auctioneer is Nomos at 52.42, followed by Numismatic Ars Classica at 42.68. It's good to finally see someone other than Numismatic Ars Classica at number 1, and then Kunker at 28.6. At the bottom, we have Thaler and Fow at 1.89, Ed Mar at 2.9, and Leo Numismatic at 3.4. So to get a low-end coin of this, it's probably going to be around 1,500 to 4,500 US dollars, and a high end's probably going to range you 35,000 to 70,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC 44 with 3.3% of all sales. So RIC 44 had a range of sales from 4.6 all the way to 80.3 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 7th, 2009 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 52, lot 348, and sold for 17,000 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale that year. So, yeah. The low sale was on July 2nd, 2020. By Aurei of Calico. It was auction 350, lot 259, and sold for 1,400 euros. Since about 2016, I think it's pretty obvious there's a downward trend here, with 2016 being the local high at 36.5 and dropping all the way down to 6.74 in 2022, and then finally back up to 11.56, but nonetheless a downward trend overall. Break it out by auctioneer. We see our highest averages, once again, Numismatic Ars Classica with 38.2. Goldberg is second at 29.9, followed by Gaduri at 26.1. Bottom end, we have Aurei of Calico, yet again, at 6.4 times the price of gold, followed by Sovaka at 6.4 and Anasta at 6.7. So low end coin of this, you're likely going to be looking at 3,500 to 7,000 US dollars, and a high end is probably going to be around 20,000 to 55,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC 54 with 2.4% of all sales. So RIC 54 had a range of sales of 2.6 all the way to 150.9 times the price of gold. The high sale was on April 2nd, 2008 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 46, lot 513, and sold for 27,000 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale that year. The low sale was on July 7th, 2020 by Tauler and Fau. It was auction 61, lot 1,208, and sold for 780 US dollars, 780 euros rather. So we're getting into the point where we really don't have that much data for all these coins. So I'm really not going to point out any trends or even attempt to. Sometimes we have gaps of several years in here. As you can see, 2008 to 2012, we have a 4-year gap where no coins were sold. So we're going to see that more often. I'm going to keep the graph up so you can at least see it, but I'm not really going to attempt to speak to it. As far as auctioneers, our highest, yet again, Numismatic Ars Classica at 62.1. Second is Kunker at 30.5, and third is Classical Numismatic Group at 24.2. And at the bottom end, we have Tauler and Fau at 3.9. Filier at 4.5 and Roma at 6.4. So if you're looking to buy a low-end version of this coin, it's probably going to be around 2,000 to 5,500 US dollars, with a high end likely being around 35,000 to 90,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC 25 with 2.1% of all sales. I'll pull that one up. So RIC 25 had a range of sales of 1.1 all the way to 106.5 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 6th, 2020 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 119, lot 16, and sold for 36,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on July 21st, 2010 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 237, lot 399, and sold for 260 US dollars. This one was an Indian imitation, so maybe not perfectly representative, but nonetheless, it's still sold for, just about the price of gold. Once again, no obvious trend here. You could argue everything's been down since 2015. Average auctioneers. Our highest average auctioneer is actually Solidus at 69.9, followed by Numismatic Ars Classica at 44.7, and then Leo Numismatic at 17.7. At the bottom end, we have Gorny and Mosh at 2.7, Rasmussen at 6.2, and then Numismatic Namen at 6.6. So if you're looking for a low-end version of this coin, it's probably going to range you at least $1,500 to $6,000 US, with a higher end coin probably going to be $35,000 to $70,000 US. Also, bear in mind, these prices also take into account the auction data as well, and by that I mean every auctioneer has a fee that is applied to all of these coins. Most of them are around 20%. So that is applied to all of these sales. Next coin up we have is RIC 61 with 2.1% of all sales. So RIC 61 had a range of sales from 6 all the way to 146.9 times the price of gold. The high sale was on November 15th, 2021 by Numismatic Genvensis. It was auction 13, lot 10, and sold for 50,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on November 18th, also 2021, by Roma. It was auction 90, lot 907, and sold for 1,600 Great British pounds. Obviously, once again, no huge trend here. Breaking out by auctioneer, we see that Numismatic Genvensis obviously only had one sale, is at the top with its 146.9 sale, followed by New York sale at 93.1, and then Numismatic Ars Classica at 75.6. At the bottom end, Gorny and Mosh is once again down there at 6.2, followed by Aurei and Calico at 8.1, and then Talar and Fao at 8.3. So, if you're looking to buy this coin, low end is going to range you $4,000 to $8,000 US, and the high end is probably going to range you $55,000 to $110,000 US. Next coin up is RIC 19 with 1.9% of all sales. So RIC 19 had a range of sales of 1.3 all the way to 86.8 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 15th, 2012 by Gorny and Mosh, which is interesting because they've been usually the low seller. It was auction 207, lot 585, and sold for 24,000 euros. The low sale was on January 9th, 2024 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction Triton 27, lot 6,071, and sold for 500 US. This one was an Indian imitation with holes punched in it, so that explains why it basically sold for the price of gold. But nonetheless, a contemporary Indian imitation, so still pretty cheap. Trend looks pretty steady since about 2014. Breaking out by auctioneer, our highest average auctioneer is Gorny and Mosh. Obviously, they only had a singular sale at that 86.8. Next is Numismatic Ars Classica at 29.7, followed by HD Rouch at 29.5. At the bottom end, we have Talar and Fao at 5.9, then Triskelies at 6.3, and Heritage at 6.4. So, a low-end version of this coin, probably going to be $1,500 to $7,500 US, with a high-end ranging you $30,000 to $60,000 US. Next coin up we have is RIC 16 with 1.8% of all sales. So RIC 16 had a range of sales from 1.9 all the way up to 85.4 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 7th, 2009 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 52, lot 343, and sold for 19,000 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale in 2009. The low sale was on January 23rd, 2008 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 180, lot 184, and sold for 331 US dollars. This one does have a test cut and isn't in the best of conditions as well, but nonetheless, still very, very low sale. If we break it out by auctioneers, we see the highest auctioneer is Numismatic Ars Classica at 38.9 times the price of gold, followed by Gattery at 38.1 and Hirsch at 24.2. Bottom end we have is Aurei and Calico at 5.6, followed by Classical Numismatic Group at 11.5 and Varese at 13.3. If you're looking to buy a low-end version of this coin, it's probably going to range you of 5,000 to 10,000 US dollars, so a little bit higher than most of the ones we've seen. And a high-end is not going to range as high as some of the other ones we've seen, probably 30,000 to 60,000 US dollars. So next coin up we have is RIC23 with 1.8% of all sales. RIC23 had a range of sales from 3.7 all the way up to 99.9 times the price of gold. The high sale was on June 25th, 2003 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 25, lot 381, and sold for 9,500 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale in 2003. The low sale was on January 8th, 2013 by Stack Bowers. It was auction 2013, lot 2025, and sold for 1,234 US dollars. Breaking out by auctioneer, we see Numismatic Ars Classica has the highest average at 49.4, followed by Gattery at 19.02, and then Bertolami at 18.5. At the bottom, we have Aurei and Calico at 7.1, followed by Kunker at 7.7, and Classical Numismatic Group on 8.2. So, looking to buy a low-end coin, probably going to range at 3,000 to 6,000 US dollars, with a high-end probably going to be 35,000 to 70,000 US dollars rather. Next coin up is RIC4 with 1.7% of all sales. RIC4 had a range of sales from 6.5 to 160.7 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 26, 2005 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 31, lot 25, and sold for 20,000 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale that year. The low sale was on January 8th, 2013 by Stack Bowers. It was auction 2013. Lot 2015 and sold for 2,115 US dollars. I will say there is an obvious downward trend after 2021, but before that, you got all chaos. Breaking out by auctioneer, our highest average auctioneer is Numismatic Ars Classica at 97.4 times the price of gold, followed by Stack Bowers, which is crazy because they had the lowest, at 76.1, and then Roma at 51.3. The bottom end we have Busso at 9.6, Numismatic Namen at 14.8, and then Bertolami at 20.6 rather. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin of this, you're probably going to be around 4,000 to 12,000 US dollars, with a high-end likely going to be around 55,000 to 110,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC40 with 1.6% of all sales. So RIC40 had a range of sales from 4.3 all the way up to 175.3 times the price of gold. The high was sold on March 23rd, 2017 by Roma. It was auction 13, lot 770, and sold for 36,000 Great British pounds. The low sale was on November 11th, 2020 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auctioned 480, lot 546, and sold for 1,600 US dollars. Once again, kind of an obvious downward trend here since our high sale in 2017, but our lowest average book market value was 2024 at 9.3. If we break it out by auctioneer, we'll see that our highest average is actually Solar and Lock at 108.8 times the price of gold, followed by Leo at 72, and Roma at 56. At the bottom end, we have Classical Numismatic Group at 8.5, followed by Aurei and Calico at 9.2, and then Savoca at 9.3. So, low-end coin for this, probably going to range you 3,500 to 7,000 US dollars, with a high-end coin probably going to cost 60,000 to 120,000 US dollars. Our next coin up is RIC6, also with 1.6% of all sales. I'll go ahead and pull that one up. So RIC6 had a range of sales from 3.7 all the way up to 335.1 times the price of gold. High sale was on December 5th, 2002 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 24, lot 34, and sold for 33,000 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale for that entire year. The low sale was on October 16th, 2012 by Gorny and Mosh. It was auction 208, lot 1,987, and sold for 950 euros. We'll say downward trend after 2014, so it seems. Next up, auctioneers. Our highest average auctioneer is Numismatic Ars Classica at 88.3, followed by Heritage at 53.9, and then Classical Numismatic Group at 53.1. The bottom end, we have Gorny and Mosh with their singular sale of 3.7, followed by Jesus Vico at 9 times the price of gold, and Hamburg at 25.3 times the price of gold. So you're trying to buy one of these coins. Low end is probably going to be 7,500 all the way up to 20,000 US dollars, with a high end coin probably going to be 75,000 to 200,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC14. Also with 1.6% of sales, although one less sale, but still 1.6. So if we go to RIC14, RIC's 14's range was 3.3 all the way up to 210.8 times the price of gold. The high sale was on March 24th, 2010 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 54, lot 342, and sold for 50,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on January 13th, 2016. It was Classical Numismatic Group, auction 366, lot 20, and sold for 750 US dollars. The coin does have 2 test cuts on it, so you know that pretty much explains its lower value. It also was the only sale for that entire year. Breaking out by auctioneers, our highest average auctioneer once again is Numismatic Ars Classica at 56.4, followed by Gaduri at 25.3, and Busso at 18.96. Bottom end is Triskilis at 5.3, Classical Numismatic Group at 7.7, and Bolafi at 8.7. If you're looking to buy a low end of these coins, it's probably going to range at 3,000 to 7,500 US dollars, with a high end coin likely going to be ranging 55,000 to 150,000 US dollars. Keep in mind, this video is made in 2025, so you know, inflation, difference in gold prices will probably change these values if you're looking at this in 2032 or something. Next coin up is RIC31, also with 1.6% of all sales. So RIC31 had a range of sales from 3.8 all the way up to 97 times the price of gold. The high sale was on November 15th, 2021 by Numismatic Genvensis. It was auction 13, lot 9, and sold for 34,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on January 23rd, 2008. That was by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 180, lot 190, and sold for 655 US dollars. Highest average auctioneer was Genvensis at 97.02, which also, they only had one sale, so pretty easy to do. Next was Taller and Fowl at 31.3, and then third was Numismatic Ars Classica at 27.5. Bottom end, we have HD Rouch at 7.1 times the price of gold, followed by Gadry at 10.5 and Goldberg at 10.9. So if you're trying to buy a low end version of this coin, probably going to be 3,000 to 12,000 US dollars, and a high end's probably only going to be 30,000 to 60,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC11 with 1.4% of all sales. So sales on this coin ranged from 5 all the way up to 136.4 times the price of gold. The high sale was on March 29th, 2000 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 18, lot 448, and sold for 13,000 Swiss francs. It was also the only sale from that entire year. The low sale was on August 17th, 2023 by Heritage. It was auction 3,109, lot 32,214, and sold for 1,900 US dollars. Breaking out by auctioneer, our highest auctioneer was 46.8. It was Numismatic Ars Classica, followed by Baldwin's at 27.1 and Ald at 18.1. Low-end auctioneers we're looking at Aurei at 5, Busso at 5.7, and Numismatic Namen at 7. So if you're looking to buy a low-end coin, probably going to range you 4,000 to 8,000 US dollars, and a high-end coin is probably going to be more like 40,000 to 90,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC42 with 1.4% of all sales, although not the same amount as RIC11. So the range of sales on RIC42 was 2.4 all the way up to 177.4 times the price of gold. The high sale was on December 3rd, 2018 by Numismatic Genvensis. It was auction 10, lot 31, and sold for 42,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on January 23rd, 2008 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 180, lot 197, and sold for 415 US dollars. It was also the only sale for that entire year. Bringing out by auctioneer, our highest average is Genvensis with its singular sale, followed by Gornian Mash at 59.8, and then Numismatic Ars Classica at 38.4. Bottom end auctioneers, Classical Numismatic Group, singular sale at 2.4, followed by Aurei and Calico at 6.9, and Bertolami at 8.8. So if you're looking for a low-end version of this coin, cheapest one you can get is probably going to be 3,500 to 8,000 US dollars, and a higher-end coin is probably going to range you 40,000 to 110,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC8 with 1.4% of all sales. RIC8 had a range of sales from 1.5 to 292.6 times the price of gold. The high sale was on April 6, 2006 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 33, lot 430, and sold for 46,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on September 30th, 2009 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 219, lot 436, and sold for 290 US dollars. If we break it out by auctioneer, we see Numismatic Ars Classica has the highest average at 134.8, followed by Nomos at 125.6, and Syncona at 94.3. The bottom end, we have Classical Numismatic Group at 7.9, followed by Aurei at 8.8, and Gene Ellison at 9.9. So if you're looking to get a low-end version of this coin, it's probably going to range you 3,500 to 8,000 US dollars, with a high-end coin likely being 75,000 to 185,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC27 with 1.3% of all sales. RIC 27 had a range of sales from 2.5 all the way to 45.1 times the price of gold. The high sale was on April 18th, 2013 by Heritage. It was auction 3024, lot 24,848, and sold for 13,000 US dollars. The low sale was on January 23rd, 2008 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 180, lot 189, and sold for 445 US dollars. Looking at it by auctioneer, our highest average was Gorny and Mosh at 41.6, followed by I can't say that one, 31.2 times the price of gold, and then Heritage at 26.4. At the bottom end, we have Aurei and Calico at 5.7, Classical Numismatic Group at 11.7, and then Conquer at 13.1. If you're looking to buy a low-end version of this coin, it's probably going to be around 4,000 to 9,000 US dollars, with a high-end coin likely only getting up to 20,000 to 30,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC 33 with 1% of all sales. So RIC 33 had a range of sales from 4.7 to 48.8 times the price of gold. The high sale was on January 9th, 2018 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction Triton 21, lot 719, and sold for 13,000 US dollars. The low sale was on April 24th, 2018, April 24th, 2019 by Davison's. It was auction 29, lot 4, and sold for 1,200 US dollars. Looking at it by auctioneer, our highest average is Classical Numismatic Group at 28.3, followed by Numismatic Ars Classica at 22.4, and Leo Numismatic at 15.9. Bottom end is Davison's, I believe with their singular sale, 4.7, Heritage at 10.5, and Taller and Fowl at 11.4. So if you're looking to buy a low-end version of this coin, going to be around 4,500 to 9,000 US dollars, and a high-end probably being 22,000 to 34,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC1 with 1% of all sales. So RIC1 had a range of sales from 11.3 to 557.9 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 20th, 2018 by Palumbo. It was auction 17, lot 47, and sold for 140,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on November 14th, 2023 by Conquer. It was auction 397, lot 2,582, and sold for 4,200 euros. Looking at it by auctioneer, our highest is Palumbo with their singular sale at 557.9, followed by Numismatic Ars Classica at 153.5, and then Conquer at 50.2. At our bottom end, we have Gene Ellison at 27.4, Stax at 28.3, and then Heritage at 36.2. If you're looking for a low-end version of this coin, it's going to be a lot higher than some of the ones we've seen, probably around 11,000 to 34,000 US dollars. And a high-end coin is probably going to be anywhere from 110,000 to 375,000 US dollars. So definitely a higher-end coin on this one. Next coin up is RIC 71, also with 1% of sales. So RIC 71 also is a denarius version of an aureus. So technically not in the RIC catalog, but if you look under denarius, you will find this one. So sales ranged on this coin from 4.4 to 46.9 times the price of gold. The high sale was on September 27th, 1991 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction A, lot 1,758, and sold for 4,400 Swiss francs. The low sale was on March 9th, 2022 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auctioned 511, lot 323, and sold for 1,600 US dollars. Looking at it by auctioneer, our highest auctioneer is Numismatic Ars Classica at 46.9, followed by Hirsch at 24.1, Verisi at 13.8, and at the bottom end we have Numismatic Naumann at 4.6, Busso at 4.8, and Classical Numismatic Group at 5.9. So if you're looking to buy a low-end coin, probably going to be around 3,000 to 6,000 US dollars, with a high end being around 15,000 to 30,000 US dollars. So despite it being pretty rare, actually one of our lower ones. Next coin up we have is RIC 21 with 0.8% of all sales. RIC 21 had a range of sales from 4.3 all the way up to 104.6 times the price of gold. The high sale was on November 21st, 2022 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 135, lot 274, and sold for 36,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on December 15th, 2019 by Nomos. It was auction 14, lot 466, and sold for 1,200 Swiss francs. High-end auctioneer, highest is Numismatic Ars Classica at 48.5, followed by Teutoburger at 24. At the bottom end, we have Numismatic Naumann at 6.7 and Nomos at 10.9. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin, it's probably going to be around 4,000 to 12,000 US dollars, with a high-end likely going to be around 30,000 to 60,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC 36 with 0.8% of sales. RIC 36 had a range of sales from 4.2 all the way up to 143.7 times the price of gold. The high sale was on October 15th, 2012 by Gorny and Mosh. It was auction 207, lot 587, and sold for 40,000 euros. The low sale was on January 23rd, 2008 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 180, lot 192, and sold for 755 US dollars. Highest average auctioneer, Gorny and Mosh for their singular sale. Doesn't really count. Next is Heritage at 100.2 and Gemini 58.2. Bottom end sellers we have is Gaduri at 5.3, Classical Numismatic Group at 14.1, and Taller and Fow at 19.6 times the price of gold. So if you're looking to buy a low-end coin, it's going to be likely around 4,000 to 16,000 US dollars, with a high end ranging you 38,000 to 110,000 US dollars. Next coin up we have is RIC 38 with 0.7% of all sales. So RIC 38 had a range of sales from 9.1 all the way up to 78.3 times the price of gold. The high sale was on January 11th, 2010 by Stax Bowers. It was auction Vermouly, lot 357, and sold for 18,400 US dollars. The low sale was on October 15th, 2020 by Solar and Lock. It was auction 1,115 and sold for 213. Rather, it was auction 1,115, lot 213, and sold for 3,000 euros. High-end auctioneers, the highest is Stax Bowers with their singular sale, followed by Gorny and Mosh at 41.7 and Numismatic Ars Classica at 39.2. Bottom end is Lock with their singular sale, followed by Nomos at 15.3 and Bertolami at 21.7. So if you're looking to buy a low-end version of this coin, probably going to be around 7,500 to 18,000 US dollars, with a high-end coin likely going to range you 30,000 to 60,000 US dollars. Next coin up is Calico 414 with 0.7% of all sales. So this is our first coin that cannot be found in the Roman Imperial catalog of coinage. Instead is a Calico coin. So the range of sales on this coin was 4.2 all the way up to 67.1 times the price of gold. The high sale was on March 11th, 2013 by Kunker. It was auctioned 226, lot 770, and sold for 16,000 euros. The low sale was on July 17th, 2023 by also Kunker. It was auctioned 78, lot 5,171, and sold for 1,400 euros. Breaking out by auctioneer, Kunker is also the highest average auctioneer at 24.1, followed by Goldberg at 22.7, and Numismatic Ars Classica at 20.1. The bottom end we have Grun at 5.8, Aurei and Calico at 12.8, and Gorney at 13.7. I guess I might as well just say Bertolami as well, 17.9, since they're the last one on here. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin of this, probably going to be around 5,500 to 11,000 US dollars, and your higher-end coins are probably going to range 20,000 to 45,000 US dollars. Next coin up is RIC3 with 0.6% of all sales. So RIC3 had a range of sales from 9.9 all the way up to 182.6 times the price of gold. The high sale was on April 2nd, 2008 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 46, lot 510, and sold for 34,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on December 4th, 2021 by MDC Monaco. It was auction 1, lot 39, and sold for 3,200 euros. Breaking out by auctioneer, we only have 4. So we're getting down to the territory where there isn't much data for a lot of these sales. Our highest average auctioneer was Numismatic Ars Classica at 139.5, followed by Gorney and Mosh at 61.8, Palumbo at 33.6, and MDC Monaco with their singular sale at 9.9. So low-end coin likely going to be ranging us 7,500 all the way up to 30,000 US dollars, and a high end is probably going to be 75,000 to 130,000 US dollars. So we're getting down to the bottom of the barrel here. This coin up next is RIC29. Only had 0.4% of all sales and only 7 total sold coins. So RIC29 had a range of sales from 5.6 all the way to 31.6 times the price of gold. The high sale was on May 9th, 2018 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction 106, lot 1,370, and sold for 8,500 Swiss francs. The low sale was on January 7th, also 2018, by Heritage. It was auction 3,061, lot 29,366, and sold for 1,500 US dollars. Obviously, we don't have nearly as many auctioneers as we had at the beginning of this. The highest is Numismatic Ars Classico with an average of 31.6 times the price of gold. Then Classical Numismatic Group at 30.6. And at the bottom end, we have Heritage, I believe with their singular, nope, not singular sale, but 6.9 times the price of gold. And then Zentrum at 8.8 times the price of gold. So, you know, if you're looking for a low-end coin, probably going to be around 3,800 to 7,500 US dollars. With a high-end coin probably going to be ranging more like 18,000 to 26,000 US dollars. So next up, getting even closer to the bottom, we have is RIC56 with 0.3% of all sales and only 6 sales. So RIC56 had a range of sales from 6.1 all the way to 88.8 times the price of gold. The high sale was on March 30th, 2000 by Numismatic Ars Classica. It was auction K, lot 1,627, and sold for 8,000 Swiss francs. The low sale was on March 13th, 2017 by Kunker. It was auction 288,
lot 422, and sold for $1,300 US. If we were breaking out by auctioneer, only 3 auctioneers, and you can tell Numismatic Ars Classica at the top, but they only had the singular sale of 88.8, followed by Auctions JMBH at 20.2, and then Conquer at the bottom with 12.1. So I believe only a couple of these had multiple sales, which was Auctions and Conquer. If you're looking to buy a low-end coin, probably going to be around $5,500 to $11,000 US, and a high-end coin is probably going to be around $22,000 to $68,000 US. Next coin up is RIC 35 with 0.3% of all sales. Sales on this coin ranged from 6.2 all the way up to 58.4 times the price of gold. The high sale was on April 22nd, 2013 by H.D. Rauch. It was auction 92, lot 1,248, and sold for 13,000 euros. The low sale was on January 23rd, 2008 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 180, lot 199, and sold for $1,101 US. The high end of these auctioneers is H.D. Rauch with their singular sale, so it doesn't really count. Followed by Conquer at 26.2 times the price of gold, Leo at 24.9, Numismatic Ars Classica at 22.2, and Classical Numismatic Group at the bottom with their singular sale. If you were looking to buy a low-end version of this coin, you're likely looking at a range of $5,500 to $11,000 US. With a high end, probably going to range more $18,000 to $45,000 US. Next coin up is RIC 58 with 0.2% of all sales, or only 3 sales. Go ahead and pull that up. So, the 3 sales, we had a range of 10.5 all the way up to 23.9 times the price of gold. The high sale was on January 10th, 2017 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction Triton 20, lot 675, and sold for $5,500 US. The low sale was on November 29th, 2018 by Bullafi. It was auction 33, lot 371, and sold for 2,200 euros. Only 3 auctioneers here, as we only had 3 sales. The high end was Classical Numismatic Group, and the low end was Bullafi, and Stack Bowers was right in the middle at 12.9. If you're looking to buy one of these coins, probably going to be in the range of $7,500 to $18,000 US. Next coin up is RIC 69, also with 0.2% of all sales. So RIC 69 is a denarius version of an aureus. So if you look at the RIC 69, you'll see the denarius. That's basically what this aureus is, just with all the characteristics of that. Sales on this coin ranged from 2.4 all the way up to 13.8 times the price of gold. The high was sold on January 18th, 2017 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 389, lot 597, and sold for $3,250 US. The low sale was on February 26, 2020 by Classical Numismatic Group. It was auction 462, lot 344, and sold for $750 US. Only 2 auctioneers on this one. Obviously, Classical Numismatic Group had both the high and the low, and Auctions JMBH actually had the highest average at 9.42 times the price of gold. So, if you're looking to buy one of these coins, it's likely going to range you $3,800 to $11,000 US. So, there are only 2 RICs with a singular sale, and that is RIC 47 and RIC 13. I can't quite get it to show up, but I promise you RIC 13 is in there. So I'll pull these bad boys up. Obviously, they won't really show a graph because, well, they're just 2 points, quite literally. So RIC 47 sold for 33.9 times the price of gold, or 3,100 Swiss francs on February 27th, 1991 by Numismatic Ars Classica, auction A, lot 1,749. RIC 13 sold for 10 times the price of gold, or 2,200 euros on May 20th, 2013 by Bertolami. It was auction 7, lot 522. So now we get to the fun part, where we get to look at all of the coins and how valuations have changed over time. So for this, if we start looking after 2012, which you'll see was 23.55 times the price of gold, we are continuously going down most years, and I believe that might be a local high there. Actually, 2018 kind of bumps back up to 24.96, but basically after that point, from 2019 on, a whole lot lower in terms of the price of gold here. So definitely valuations probably going down over time if you're relating the price of these coins to gold. If you look at it by auctioneer, our highest is Genvensis, followed by Palumbo, both at 140 and 128. And then Numismatic Ars Classica, not shockingly, as it is at 56.9 times the price of gold. And Noble and Solidus are up there as well. So if you're looking for a high-end coin, Genvensis, Palumbo, NAC. Classical Numismatic Group is kind of far down here, but note if you're looking at their Trident auctions, that's where you're going to find some high-end coins. Heritage is actually a lot lower than I thought they'd be. Some coins where you can find gems, likely, you know, Savoca, London, and Asta, maybe Rasmussen, Jacquier, Crowhod, Jen Ellison, Fisher, Aurei, and Calico. All of those, you know, might find a little bit lower of values. So if we look at coins in terms of their valuation, average of gold, we'll see our highest are RIC 1 and 3 and 6, but particularly 1 and 3 both have averages over 100 times the price of gold. So 1 and 3, 1 you see here only has 18 sales, and 3 only has 10 sales. So relatively rare coins. If we go back and look at that and try and find RIC 52, 59, or 46, 63, we'll see that 52, 50. So 59 is pretty close to the bottom. So is 52. So at least the more common coins are actually towards the bottom end of the spectrum. Obviously, they aren't the bottom. 69 and 71 were actually at the bottom, which I believe were both denarius versions of that coin. And I think 13 was also one that only had one sale. So bit odd in that, but at least, you know, 1 and 3, which obviously count of sales may not be the best way to do this, as one coin could exchange hands more often than others. So, you know, it could be just as rare as, say, that RIC 13. It just exchanged hands more often. Therefore, it looks as though it's not as rare as the others. So this data isn't exactly, you know, flawless. It clearly has its flaws, but overall, seems like it would be helpful. Also, if we're looking at by auctioneers, you can see exactly who sold the most of these Nero coins. So if you're, you know, just trying to find one, you don't really care where it's coming from. Classical Numismatic Group, Numismatic Ars Classica, and Roma. Well, Roma doesn't exist anymore. Those two would be the first two I'd look at, followed by Heritage and then Conquer. And once you get down that list, it's kind of less and less and a lot less more frequent. So that wraps it up for this video. Nero. Next one will actually be Otho, mainly just because Galba minted an obscenely large amount of coins. So I'm moving straight to Otho, then going to go back to Galba, and then Vitellius, followed by Vespasian, and so on and so forth. Thanks for watching.